everybody! This is the cutest baby unicorn that I have ever made, ever in the history of my crochet hook collection. But then again, I've never really tried to make a unicorn before. One of our subscribers asked if I could try and make a unicorn, and I have been busy at it since she mentioned it. I have tried several different times to get it going. I had an original version, which I will show you in a second. It was a much smaller prototype. But then I sort of had inspiration hit me, and I thought, you know, I haven't done a project yet with that really big yarn. And when we were doing the stitch marker tutorial, I was using this nice big thick chunky blue yarn, and I really liked the way it felt in my hands while I was doing the tutorial, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make that unicorn out of that bright blue chunky yarn. So this is a doozy of a project, and I'm sure you can tell that just by looking at her, or him, or whatever this little guy is. But I'm going to do this tutorial in a few parts, and I'm going to give you, this is sort of the intro, and there's going to be a couple pieces and some instructions that come in the intro, and then there's going to be at least 2 parts following, so the construction of the body, and then the construction of the hair and the other little decorative bits, because the hair looks complicated, it's not, but it is. So it requires, it requires a little more time than, say, a regular tutorial might allow. But having said that, I'm going to take you guys through a quick intro of all the stuff you're going to need in order to make this project, and a couple of things you can do while you're waiting for the other halves of the tutorial to come up. So, for starters, this project has a beauty decal. So this little guy has a little beauty decal, kind of like the My Little Ponies in the 1980s and current. And I have 3 different tutorials already up, and I'll post them down below. One's for a star, one's for a heart, and one is for a leaf. And I would recommend any one of the 3 of those. You want to make at least 2. So as soon as you're done watching this tutorial, you can click to whichever one you want to start. And I recommend a size 3mm hook and tiny baby fingering yarn in some kind of sparkly color or whatever you like. This is Red Heart Stardust in orange. I also have Red Heart Stardust in blue, pink, and purple, and they also have it in green and coral and a couple of other colors. And it's, I don't know where you may be watching this from, but this is readily available in Walmarts across Canada. The other thing we're going to do today is we're going to do his feet. Now, because I only have a couple balls of super chunky yarn, and I will tell you exactly what kind of yarn that is in a second, I wanted to make his feet in a different color than the rest of his body, and so in order to make it match the size of the yarn I made his body out of, I made it holding multiple strands of yarn together. And I'm going to do a quick tutorial today on how to do multi-strand crochet. And this is a technique you're going to want to get really comfortable with, because I'm going to do other projects down the road that do multi-strand crochet. I love the effect that this creates. It's super pretty. You can get like a tweedy look. You can make a project up a lot faster, like an afghan or a hat, using multiple strands held together at the same time. And so that's what we're going to do for the feet. So I'm going to take you over to the craft table now, and I'm going to show you all the stuff you're going to need for this entire project, and then I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to make the hooves, and we're going to make the hooves today. So you ready? Let's go! So as promised, I did tell you that I made an earlier prototype of this unicorn, and you can see that this is quite basic in comparison to what I eventually created. But as a side note, another subscriber was asking about how to upsize or downsize some of my patterns, and this pattern is loosely based on this one. There's a couple of changes. For example, I gave him a neck, and he doesn't have a neck here. But this pattern will work if you use a smaller hook and smaller yarn. But just remember, you've got to downsize everything accordingly. So for example, the beauty decal here is made with like a size 2 yarn and a size 3mm hook. that would be too big on this little guy's bottom. So you'd have to use something like a 1.25 millimeter hook, like a lace maker hook with crochet thread or even embroidery floss if you were going to put a little decal on this, or just create something a whole lot smaller. The hair is also different. I just knotted hair on because I gave him sort of a straight haired mane. And if you want to do that with your big unicorn, you can do that too, and I can even create a separate hair tutorial. But for now, I'm going to show you how to make the curly hair because I just think it adds a little bit more magic to it. But anyway, that is the small version of the unicorn. That was the early prototype, and then this is what he turned into. So a little quick chat about the yarn that I've used. The base or the body of the unicorn is made using Red Heart Comfy Bulky. My awesome mother-in-law introduced me to this not so long ago. She loves to make big, warm Afghans, and so if you're an Afghan maker, this stuff is a real lifesaver because it's thick and it works up really quick. But it also comes in beautiful colors like this beautiful turquoise, and I love this gray. So my next unicorn, the one I'm going to make with you guys, is going to be in this lovely rich gray color. And that's the Red Heart Comfort Bulky, and that's a big thick yarn. And in order to use this yarn, I used a size 8 millimeter hook. So this is a doozy hook. It's not a 10, which is one of the biggest ones I've got. But it's up there because I usually work with a hook that's more like a 4.25, so literally half the width of this. So this is a bigger hook. It does take a little getting used to. So this is another reason it's good to do this project in pieces because it gets you comfortable working in a whole lot of different ways. Like I say, I usually use the same size hook, the same size yarn, and I really went out of my comfort zone on this project, but I love the results. So let that be a lesson to you. Fear not. So that's the body of our baby unicorn, and that's the hook you're going to use. So Red Heart Bulky with a size 8 millimeter hook. So that is that. Now, his pretty little hair is this, this is Twinkle DK. It's from the UK. I know that Karen in Canada also makes a version of this sparkly yarn, but this particular ball of yarn and this one here, this purple, this is Twinkle DK from the UK. I picked it up in a local yarn store, but like I say, Karen makes something that's very similar. It actually looks almost identical, and it's the same size. It's a very thinnish yarn. It's not as thin as the Red Heart Stardust, but it's not as thick as a basic worsted weight, so it's thin. And this, I felt, it's also got this beautiful bounce. It's got a little bit of a shimmer. Obviously, it's got a really rich color, and I thought that this made perfect baby unicorn hair. And I'm going to use the purple this time round for the hair color on my dark gray baby unicorn. You're going to need scraps of white and black worsted weight yarn to make the eyes. You're going to make the horn out of pretty much anything you want, but I used 2 strands held together. That is the Stardust, or the Red Heart Stardust in blue, and just a plain white worsted weight yarn like I used for the eyes. I held those 2 strands together and I made his horn out of it. And the hooves are a whole combination of things, and that is now where we're going to move to. I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to use multiple strands together, and we're going to make the hooves today, so you can at least get started on the hooves as well as the beauty decal, and that is where we're going to end it for today's lesson on the baby unicorn. But we're going to do the rest of it hopefully over the course of this week. Like I said, it's a big tutorial, and it's going to have to go up in pieces because our upload speed is kind of slow. So not to mention, it might end up being a couple hours long when we're finished. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into multi-strand crochet. Because I'm going to make my baby unicorn out of that beautiful, rich, dark gray, thick yarn, and I'm going to give him purple hair. I want his hooves to really stand out. So I'm going to give him rainbow hooves because I love nothing more than rainbow colors together. I even did my nails just for the occasion. I love rainbows. So I'm going to do the same thing for his hooves. I've chosen my colors, and the reason I chose these specifics, I'm going to line them all up and I'll show you what I'm up to here, is I held up a strand of my thick gray yarn, my super bulky yarn, and I held it between my 2 fingers, and I just started grabbing colors and compiling them holding them together in my fingers until I had a width or a thickness made up of these strings that felt about as thick as the weight. So if I spin them all together, so let's pretend I've just made myself this really awesome ball of yarn. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. And if you hold it alongside the thick, bulky weight yarn that I'm going to make the body out of, you can see that they're pretty much the same thing. This is going to be a little bit thicker just because I wanted all of those colors together than the body, but it's okay because the feet on a baby are usually bigger than the feet in proportion to a regular adult-sized body, and having big hooves is okay because we're also going to want to make sure that they're nice and well stuffed so that he stands upright. So this is what I'm going to start with, and you make sure that you've got all your balls in an untangled fashion, and you want to just sort of make sure that they're all going to feed to you comfortably, so that you're not constantly having to stop and like roll the balls around. But the nice thing about these hooves is that they're a quick little project, so you shouldn't run into too many issues. So we're going to grab our big hook. So this is the 8mm hook that we're using here, and this is the hook I'm going to use for the body, and I'm also going to use it to make the hooves out of. So because the hooves are made in the round, we're going to start with a cinch circle. So you hold all of your yarn together, and like I say, you want to practice this because if you've never done multi-thread crochet before, it can be a little daunting, but using a big hook will help. Wrap them around your fingers, and can I just say that I'm so in love with all the color that I'm staring at right now. Grab your hook, put it through that loop, grab all those strands together, pull up a loop, wrap all those strands around your hook, and chain one. And that's the hardest part, and that part's done. Now, just as a side note, if you're making hooves and you decide to go out and buy 2 balls of the chunky weight yarn, you don't obviously have to do the multi-strand hooves, but I'm doing this because I want the hooves to be really pretty, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show some of you people who don't know how to do the multi-strand crochet, how to do multi-strand crochet. So into this circle, we're going to single crochet 4. So just take your time. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to cinch it a little bit here, and 4. All right, I'm going to cinch it shut, and the thicker it is, the more slightly difficult this is, but don't worry, it'll iron itself out. And then we're going to turn our 4 single crochet base into 6. So we're going to single crochet twice into the first single crochet from the previous row, then 1, then 2, and then 1, and that'll be 6. So no joining with a slip stitch, we're just going to continue single crocheting. And that first one is always a doozy. 1 and 2 in the same hole. Ooh, get in there. There we go. 2 and 1 in the next. And make sure the yarn's available to you. And 2 in the next. Get in there. 1 and 2. And don't worry if sometimes you drop a string. It's not going to unravel the whole thing. And 1 single crochet in the last one. There we go. So we've gone from 4 to 6. Now we're going to increase one more time to 9. So it's the same pattern. It's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. That'll give us 9. So 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And you can see this is getting easier as we go. 1 single crochet, that's 3. 2 single crochet, that's 5. 1 single crochet, that's 6. 2 more into that stitch, that becomes 7 and 8, and 1 more is 9. Now we're going to do 1 row of just single crochet all the way around, and we'll even it up, kind of like I explained in my stitch marker tutorial. you're going to be 3 stitches back from your starting point because you increased 3 rows. So if you can't see your point very well, then just add 3. So crochet, single crochet 12 in this row instead of 9. And that will make a nice flat even top. And oh my goodness, this is so cute. I love color. Yes, I do. And one more. One more. All right, and once you're finished that row, you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So you just pull everything through all loops on the hook and then fasten off, not too much, and just pull everything through that loop and just tighten it up. And that is hoof number 1. Oh my gosh. I'm in love with this little guy already, and I only have 1 foot. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and make 3 more of those. Those are going to be the feet for our super adorable baby unicorn. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh my god. And look, it's going to be with this. Oh, he's going to be so cute. All right, so you're going to go ahead and make 4 of those. Those are going to be your hooves. That's how you do multi-strand crochet. If you don't want to do the multi-strand, that's fine. You can just get 2 big balls of the bulky weight yarn, and you can just make hooves basically out of the thick yarn. Or you can hold 2 strings together, or 3, or if you're really ambitious, 6. Go for a whole rainbow. But I've chosen 5, and I'm going to make 3 more of those. Those are going to be my 4 hooves. Go consult one of the other applique tutorials we've made, or if you've got one of your own, go ahead and make a couple of those. Those are going to be the little beauty decals. And then in the next tutorial, which will be coming very shortly, we're going to just basically start with the body. So we're going to finish the legs, we're going to do his head, we're going to do his neck, and we're going to do his the main part of his body, and we're going to stitch them all together. And in the tutorial following that, we're going to make his horn, his ears, his eyes, his beautiful mane, and his pretty little curly tail. And then we're going to stitch the whole thing all together, and you will have your very own baby unicorn. So I will see you guys very soon for parts 2 and 3, and possibly part 4, depending on how long this tutorial winds up being. But in the meantime, like I say, make your 4 hooves, make your little beauty decals, and we will see you guys very, very shortly. Bye! Brum, 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 brum.